Good evening and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. I'm your host, Mike Baker, and saying hello to you this evening. Today on our show, we are going to cover an after-action report on the convention at Siege of Augusta that took place in Augusta, Georgia this past weekend. Really great time. Their average attendance is somewhere around 250 people. It's been going on now for about 34 years. Let me see here. Yeah, about 34 years. Let's do this. And I've been part of it. So it's in 25 really. I've been part of it since 2004. So I've been doing it for 20 years. So yeah, it's kind of a big part of my life. It was a big part of my life before I was Gator Games. I went and ran games. I helped with the back office and just always had my fingers in. If you get a chance to go to a game convention, this one's a good one to go to. They've got a little bit of everything. They've got board games, miniature games. They don't have any RPGs, but they do have a number of tournaments. Flames of War, Bolt Action, Kings of War, ALDG, all pretty much historically themed, but you'll also find plenty of science fiction games going on. There was Battletech Alpha Strike. What's that new one? Blackout was there. So it's a lot of good things that go on at Siege of Augusta. So we went to this past weekend. And by the way, before we get too much deeper, just a reminder, be sure to click like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already so you can be updated whenever we drop a video. And share with your friends. Make a comment in the section below. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's other things you'd like to see us cover. There we go. Here's my booth. It's a modest affair, about 3 tables across, showing my stock of Warlord Games and Wargames Atlantic and Amarillo Design Bureau and Firelight Games. So had a pretty good showing. Had folks reach out to me and delivered a couple, 3 special orders there. That's something else. If you're at a con where Gator's at, we are more than happy to bring you a special order. One of the games I wanted to highlight here, there were really a lot of games. I could have probably gone for 4 hours just describing all the games that went on that were one-offs. And if you have an opportunity to go to a con like this, I know some folks will go for the tournaments, and that's cool. Myself, I like to go and play games that I don't get to play much. This year is Point Du Hoc, featuring World War II Assault by our friend Mitch, who runs Mad Mitch's Games. We do carry his rules in stock, a little $10 rule booklet, kind of a light World War II game. I say light, rules light, a lot of tactics to it, a lot of depth to it. But they did the assault on Point Du Hoc. Looked like everybody had a great time. Big tip of the hat to Mitch there. This was a Gettysburg battle using 6 millimeter infantry and cavalry and artillery. So they've got the actual Gettysburg map there laid out, and the players got to refight the Battle of Gettysburg. They had 2 or 4 players playing. It was a really good time. I walked by and I was like, "Ooh, I'd like to do that." So, again, you go to these conventions, you never know what you're going to run across. Not sure what rules he was using here. Looks like there's a officially printed sheet there, but they could have been a homebrew as well. Here we have Trailer Park. I think it's Trailer Park Warriors of the Apocalypse, done by my friend Michael Love, who you see standing up in the picture there. They've been working on this for years and released it about 2 years ago. It's a 28 millimeter skirmish set, a little whimsical, kind of like a high-tech version of Core. We'll see some Core later, but little whimsical, little funny, but a little dark humor there in people and mutated animals fighting it out in the ruins of a post-apocalyptic world. And why not in a trailer park? Because it's the places that survived because they were on the outlying areas of the disaster. My first demo game was Epic Black Powder, American Civil War, doing a game that has kind of become my standard, a random or a chance encounter, which sees a Union and a Confederate division fighting over a couple of crossroads. I like doing this one because the forces are pretty much equal. I think in this case, the Union had a cavalry brigade of 2 regiments, and the Confederates had 3 overstrength infantry brigade. So a little different, but weapons, movement, command ratings were all the same. So it came down very much to the tactics and skills of the players involved. As you can see, it got really busy. A lot of fighting on the flanks. A lot of crossfire in the middle there. I think nobody wanted to run across that open ground and try and secure that objective. I did time limit the game. Black Powder doesn't traditionally have a turn limit on it, but I put a 6 turn limit on it, which kept us down around 3 hours, which I thought was pretty reasonable. We might could have added a couple more turns, but the big thing is I wanted to try and get a resolution without playing to army breakpoint. Point spread was 10 points for each objective held, 3 points for each enemy regiment that you destroyed, and I think that was it. Yeah. So, end of the day, the Confederates ran off of a Union regiment for 3 points, and the Union captured at least one objective for 10. So it was a marginal, marginal Union win, maybe a little more than marginal, as they had half the road net secured, and they were working hard on securing the rest. Although the Confederates might disagree with that. There's another action of the fighting. So over here, you've got one side of the house early in the battle. That house is actually a farmhouse from Waterloo, painted by the incomparable Mrs. Baker, but it makes a nice battlefield piece. It is designed for this scale of troops, being 15 millimeter. And here we have the fighting on the other side of the woods later in the day. You can see the federal unit, which eventually would break. They're in skirmish formation, trying to check these two advancing Confederate regiments, and they pretty much get pushed back and ran off the table for their trouble. Next, of course, wanted to talk about the bolt action tournament. This is one of the first tournaments of any given year. It's third weekend in January, and it's been a cornerstone of Siege of Augusta for a long time. Ran by Miss Kalissa Skibiki and her husband David. She does the rules and the TO, and he does the terrain and the mats and helps with and heads up table layout. So the Skibikis really do a super job putting the tournament on. Here we have the British Army of our friend Randy Yan, who took part in the tournament. I think he said he came in fourth, so middle of the pack there. Very, I won't say a very competitive tournament. We did have a couple of new guys play. We even had one guy play. I think it was his first bolt action game, but definitely the tough players were there. And if I know Kalissa, she probably paired the stronger players together. But Randy looked like he had a good time. The fellows over there looked like they were having a blast. There she is, giving out awards at the end of the day. All the tired warriors are like, okay, we're done. So they'd been at it all day. And as like I say, Kalissa really does yeoman's work. Volunteer. She does this for the love of the hobby and goes all over the Southeast helping to run tournaments so that us bolt action players have somewhere to roll dice and push minis. There he is, the man himself, Mr. Randy Yan, wearing his Gurkha hat. He's if I'm going to play Gurkhas, I might as well wear the headgear. And you'll see a few people wearing headgear in the photos here. It's kind of cool. Always nice to do a little bit of role play when you're playing the games. Here you got some of the other guys playing. You can see the variety of tables. You see the fella down the road there with a couple of guys down there with peaked army caps. Not sure what army. I'm sure some of my viewers could definitely tell me who they are. But by and large, just guys having a good time. There were 6 tables, 12 players, variety of terrain. I know I saw some snow. I think I may have seen a desert table. Lots of classic European tables. So it's a really, really good presentation. Here we see John Ross, who runs Wargames, Wargames, the tournament up in Atlanta. I'm drawing a complete blank here. Warzone Atlanta. There we go. Which will be coming up here next month, very quickly. And he's taken a bit of a breakout from being a tournament organizer to get some playtime in, and he had a really good time. I appreciate about John that he not only runs his own tournaments, but goes around and supports the tournaments of other people. That's absolutely fantastic. And I can tell you, as a GM and a tournament organizer, it's really nice to just show up and play sometimes. So tip of the hat to John for showing up. No idea how he placed. There's Randy again, and looks like he's contemplating what his opponent's about to do. So, and you can see the guy's got, again, he's got one of those cool hats on. It looks like a bocage type board there. So going to be fighting in the hedgerows. Much fun, much fun. It would not be a Gator Games and Books con if I did not demonstrate what has become one of our favorite games, Quar, the Clash of Rifles, manufactured by Wargames Atlantic and Zombie Smith Miniatures, and carried, of course, by your friends here at Gator Games. I ran 2 sessions, total of 4 games of Clash of Rifles. Was able to do that because Clash of Rifles really only takes up a half table. And you can see here, I took a 6-foot round table, split it in half, and I've got effectively 2 battlefields, each with 6 core versus 6 core, which makes a 3-turn game. And everybody had a great time. I would say, by and large, the players seemed to be able to adopt the Crusader tactics more quickly than they adopted to the Royalist weapons, which is kind of interesting. The Royalist Harlock rifle, since they're a long range rifle, it's got a base range of 8, where and that's the guys on the right in the blue, and then the guys in the green are the Crusaders. Their basic rifle only has a range of 6, but their force has 1 or 2 of these 20 millimeter heavy rifles that reduce cover by 1 level, and that makes a difference. So it was pretty interesting. We saw grenades thrown, we saw smoke used, even saw a bit of melee. So it was really good. Here we go. There's the players playing. You'll see the cards there that come with the games. So again, one of the key things about Clash of Rifles is you are never ever just sitting back waiting on your opponent to do something. For example, in Black Powder that we were looking at earlier, you'll get to roll saving dice if you get hit, but you're pretty much just letting your opponent move and get deployed. Not so much with this game. You can opportunity fire at about any point. When you get shot at, you can decide what your figure's going to do. Is he going to dive for cover? Is he going to take a shot back? So you're never really just sitting there waiting on something to happen. More than that, the action cards there that you see are actually held by the opposing player. So if it's my turn to move and attack, then my opponent has my action card, which has 3 to 5 actions on it. I know it's going to have 3, may have as many as 5. I get to the end of my 3 actions, and I'll be like, do I have another action? So you're never sure exactly how many actions you're going to have. Like I say, you know you're going to have 3. Uh, After that, nothing's guaranteed. Kind of like the stock market. Here we go. This Crusader over here on the right is he's injured one Royalist, and his buddy's trying to patch him up and fight off the Crusader. And I think the whole game went like that for the Royalists, but it was a lot of fun. The guys really enjoyed just the fluid dynamic of what that is Clash of Rifles. So that's it. That's our wrap for Siege of Augusta 24 or 34. I'm sorry. If you get a chance to go next year, it's always Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. I'll have people ask me, what day is Siege of Augusta? For 34 years, it's been MLK weekend. So if you want to go next year, block your calendar now, get those days off. I think you'll be quite happy. It has become 3 days of wargaming. I will tell you, when I got there Friday at 12 to set my booth up, things were already popping. Probably one of the biggest Friday afternoons I've seen in 2 or 3 years. And then Friday night, which has been a busy night for the con for a while, was also busy. And then Saturday afternoon, pretty popping. Saturday night often drops off. This year was no exception. It's one reason I tend to run my demos after 8, Friday, Saturday, is I want to have time to, let things slow down a little bit so I can keep an eye on the booth and then demo my games. And then I went ahead and ran another core game Sunday morning. And that one had originally 4 players, but a couple guys had to leave. So me and Chris finished up the second game. I think we were only able to get through turn 2 before we called it at 12 o'clock. But again, it gives me time to demo and show the core. And there were people still playing when we left. So 3-day siege, 3-day con, worth going to. Next big one that's coming down the pipe is, of course, the next 2 big events. Warzone Atlanta, February 7 to 9, for all the bolt action folks. Play bolt action. If you want to do a tournament, it's a great one to go to. They have a Friday night and a Saturday night. And I think it's Sunday as well. I know it's pretty much 3 days of bolt action. It's a little higher on the price side at first glance, but you also have meals and T-shirts and prizes included. And everything I've read about Warzone Atlanta says it's worth going to. For the rest of us that aren't playing competitive bolt action that weekend, there is Jacksonville Skirmish. Same time period in Jacksonville. And what I can say about Skirmish is it's a more general con. You're going to see actually just a little bit of everything. Miniature games. There's a big complex naval game called Sea Krieg that's always there. These guys are great because they're the admiralty of the Sea Krieg. And looking at their game, it's right up there with Starfleet battles for complexity. And for those of you that know, you know. There's also a lot of other miniature games. I'll be demoing probably core, black powder, and bolt action there, since no bolt action is necessarily being played as a demo. Somebody's got to show the flag, unless they get a wild hair to show something else. And then they also have a big RPG track. So if you like role playing games, Jacksonville Skirmish is definitely worth looking at. And they also have a great board game track. So at Siege of Augusta, we had a board game, kind of a board game area, had room for about, I don't know, probably a dozen people, and it stayed busy. Jacksonville Skirmish has an entire room dedicated to board gaming, and you'll find everything from one-off games to tournaments going on. So that's look up Jacksonville Skirmish. We will put a link in the comment section below, but I would encourage you to go check it out. It's going to be in about 2 weeks. That's our update on Siege of Augusta. Thank you so much for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch from GatorGamesWayX.com, or you can buy us a coffee on Patreon. We'll have links to those in the comment section. Again, be sure to like and subscribe and share and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithms. Thank you all and have a good night.